and we all like to have a laugh, and some days it is quite hard to, you know, pick yourself up and, you know, have some fun. Helen always comes in and makes us laugh, so I do appreciate that with her.
Helen is very kind, very sympathetic and very, very helpful. She puts herself out no end.
You become such a part of their life that they rely on you for sort of everything. So, and then you see them through to the end of life.
Congratulations, I'm sure you'll agree we've had some pretty special people throughout Coventry and Warwickshire, and I think they deserve one more round of applause, all our winners and our finalists so far. But it's not over yet. Now, after lunch, one of our category winners is going to be presented with the Coventry Telegraph Lifetime Achievement Award. And then what we're going to do after that, we'll get all our finalists and sponsor representatives back on stage, and we'll have more group photographs. I'll tell you about that later.
OK, now, could I ask all 30 finalists, so if your name has been on these screens and read out by us so far here today, could you all just please stand for a moment? So if you've been nominated or if you've won, please get up out your seat and let's give them another round of applause.
So we've got a little bit of a treat in store for you now before lunch. Now, if you came last year, you remember this lady with an amazing voice, the wonderful singing voice of Sandra Godley, who worked at Coventry Cathedral for many years. I'm delighted to say she's back with us again to sing for us, and then that will follow by Grace. So please welcome back on stage, Sandra Godley.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats for the Lifetime Achievement Award.
We've also got another very, very special guest with us this afternoon. Now, this is a man who's not just a sporting legend, but when it comes to ambassadors for the city of Coventry, this guy is a legend, Richard.
He is a legend, and I hope my research is correct, otherwise this could be a little embarrassing. A world record breaker in 1982, running the 5,000 metres, is that correct? A man awarded MBE in 93 and OBE in 99. A man who's worked in Coventry on youth and sports projects, appointed Chief Executive of the British Athletics Federation in 97. A man who's not just been to, but won at the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games. Please welcome on stage Mr. David Moorcroft. I'm going to invite David now to say a few words as our special guest here today.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure and an honour to be here celebrating your day, celebrating the achievements of people in Coventry and Warwickshire, and celebrating so much of what we are all incredibly proud of. I came here 2 years ago because my sister was one of the Lifetime Achievement Award winners, and it was a real proud day for the whole family, and I'm still very proud of everything she's achieved. On that day, and this is the slot where usually the Coronation Street star says a few words, so I'm Coronation Street, and I was starting to think of a saga that was vaguely interesting, so if I can give you one, my own personal saga. Connie talked about the good things that happened in my running career, but a couple of years ago I ran the Great North Run, raising money for charity, which is a half marathon, as I'm sure some of you know, that starts in Newcastle. And I got injured, but I was still determined to run the race. But after 2 or 3 miles, my injury was really bad, and I spent most of the race running further and further behind and getting further and further backwards. And one of the worst experiences I've ever had as an athlete was about a mile or two from South Shields, the finish of the Great North Run, and a banana passed me. And I've been overtaken by some of the greatest athletes in the world, but never a banana. But the saga continues, because about 6 months later, I was invited to Addis Ababa, to Ethiopia, for a great event that they've got there that celebrates the communities there, which is the Great Ethiopian Run, 30,000 people. And I was invited for the weekend, and it was a fantastic weekend, and I was really enjoying it, until Haile Gebrselassie actually said, "You will run the race, won't you?" I said, "No, I can't. It's altitude. There's no such thing as a bad Ethiopian runner. I'm not very fit." He said, "No, honestly, run it. It'll be a great experience." So I did, and I'm glad I did, and it was great, and I got overtaken by lots of people, but I was kind of in one piece. But mindful of the banana incident, one of the reasons they do the Great Ethiopian Run is to raise awareness for HIV and AIDS in Africa. Mindful of the banana incident, about a mile from the finish, I look over my shoulder and there's a condom catching me up. And this is, honestly, it's the truth. And as condoms go, when there's an Ethiopian inside, they're generally quite quick. I was protecting the pride of British endurance running, so I was determined. So it was me versus the condom of the last... The good news is I just beat the condom, so... I am immensely proud to have been born in Coventry in Warwickshire. I'm proud to have represented Coventry as my first representative honour. My second one was running for my county, Warwickshire. I'm proud of everything that Coventrians have achieved over many years, the heritage that allowed me to take up sport and work in this city. And I'm really proud of everything that the city continues to achieve and will achieve in the future. And there's just 2 points that I'd like to make, if that's okay. When you look at the people today, you look at those who've won awards, you look at those who were nominated, and many hundreds of other people in the city. And if ever you could put a monetary value on what those people do, either as volunteers or as paid people who go beyond the call of duty, you could never put a monetary value on that. And it is probably our greatest resource, is the people in this room and outside of this room who make our communities, help our institutions, and make the city and the county great. They are unbelievable. And the awards, I really congratulate the Coventry Telegraph for presenting these awards and for the people who are nominated. I think we're very good in our city, and to an extent the county, of looking at the things that we don't think are quite right. We need to turn that on the head and look at the many things that are absolutely right. And many of those people are in this room today. The other element that I saw was quite common today was the way in which a lot of people's huge contribution to the community was built against the backdrop of the adversity that they were going through at that particular time. As a consequence of the problems that they were having to deal with, not only did they come to terms with them, but as a result of that, they then blossomed to actually really helping their communities and people who might suffer in the way in which they previously suffered. And again, I think that's kind of testament to Coventry, the transformation of individuals like those today, and the way in which the city is transformed and the county is transforming. And those are 2 common themes, I think, today. So it is a great delight to be here. As I said before, we have so much to be proud of. And as all of the previous presenters have said, a massive congratulations to all those that were nominated. A little congratulations to those who are lucky enough to be going off to the dinner. And obviously a huge congratulations to those who won and ultimately will win the Lifetime Award. But can I just finish with one little line? And there's a guy called Michelangelo who was asked to describe his talent as a sculptor. And he gave some wonderful words, and words that always I can't get out of my mind. He was asked to describe his talent as a sculptor, and he said, "I saw an angel in the stone, and I carved to set it free." And I thought, what a wonderful way of describing the ability to look at a rock, a bit of stone, and see an angel, and then use the skills to release that potential. And then I thought, doesn't that describe wonderfully teachers, parents, community leaders, managers, who can look at a situation, look at the potential, and use their skills to release that potential. And that's what many people had done today, to see the potential within their community, and their skills and their commitment has released that potential. So congratulations to everybody today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the dinner.
Thank you, David Moorcroft, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you very much, David. So this is the big award, the one we've been building up for, our big Lifetime Achievement Award. So let's have a look at our 6 winners. These are the people who are in the running. We have, first of all, Richard.
Yeah, the community project of the year 2009, and that was Evolve.
Also, yeah, our young community hero, that was Mitchell Heath.
Next, it was the category of caring hero, and that award went to Janet Richards.
The local hero award winner, that was Kervin Julian.
Next, it was volunteer hero, and that went to Jean and Richard Bartlam.
And our healthcare hero, that was Helen Allard.
And let's remind ourselves of what they do for our community.
We don't give them any promises that we can't fulfill. We say it as it is, and from day one we empower them with the tools that they can start to get what they want to do.
Sometimes it is difficult, it takes a lot of effort, but it is worth it in the end, and once you get stuck in and go through and do it, it's very rewarding.
If I didn't arrange for such things as this, or arrange for meals out, and fetch the residents who are in wheelchairs out of the flats, they would have to sit in the flat 24/7.
I believe that everybody's purposed and destined to become something. Sometimes we're lost in the confusion of life, in our busyness, concentrating and focusing on ourselves, that we don't always get to see the bigger picture.
And it's knowing that there's somebody there who needs you that keeps you going. There's always somebody else, and when somebody comes on and said, thank you, that's more than enough payment. It's, you know, everything makes it worthwhile.
You become such a part of their life that they rely on you for sort of everything. So, and then you see them through to the end of life.
So there's our finalists. Who's going to walk away as the Lifetime Achievement winner? I'd like to please welcome on stage now Debbie Davis, Managing Director of Coventry Newspapers.
Hi. I'm not going to do any big speech, you'll be pleased to know. And I couldn't follow that one anyway, even if I did have one written. All I want to say about today is a big thank you to everyone in this room, because today I feel quite humble and really pleased to be in your presence. It makes me realise how much good there is happening in the community, when a lot of the time we report on so much bad that happens. So thank you all. And it's big print, so don't have to put my specs on. You'll be pleased to know. So the winner of the Lifetime Achievement Award is Kervin Julian.
started off being an addict many, many years ago. In fact, I started off with cannabis when I was about 8 years old, probably just a little bit younger. Alcohol was commonplace in the household, so that kind of took effect pretty easy as well. I was probably in my 20s when I started on Class A drugs, although I thought I never would. And then I was pretty vulnerable. My children, they suffered severely, and I didn't think so at the time, because I thought, you know, while we were shoplifting, while we were robbing and we were stealing, you know, my kids were getting the best, and they were getting designer clothes, but they weren't going to school regularly. They weren't eating consistently. They weren't going to bed when they should have gone to bed, and their real nurturing had been jeopardized because of my selfishness, and I couldn't see all of that when I was living that way. 21 armed police officers came and took my children out of my home, with my daughter, who was 4 years old at the time, hanging onto my legs, screaming, "Daddy, please don't let them take me." It was now time to start changing the focus. It wasn't always about me. My children needed their dad, and they needed to see their dad fighting for them. My children didn't come into this world so that they can be my excuse for failure. They needed to know that they meant more to me than my habit did, and I was ready to start proving it.
I find him a very pleasant person, somebody who is extremely nice to know, would help you for anything that you would want him to help you with, but his main concern and his main thoughts are on people that are not as fortunate as him, as the homeless and the drug addict and the alcoholic that's out there.
Kervin runs our homeless ministry here at the church, and involved in that is working with the local shops, with the local Sainsbury's on the food side, on working with the men out on the street. We have a lot of guys coming along to our church and organising the whole thing of getting down there on a Sunday afternoon, distribution of the food. He's got fingers in a lot of pies. He's a hard-working guy.
A couple of the lads in the church, Steve and Matthew in particular, started to go out and they felt the need to go out and look for homeless people. And they asked me to get involved in that, and I did. And in doing so, I started to find a lot more people who were like I used to be. And we've just grown since then. We started off with 1 or 2 guys. We now support up to 150 people a week.
Well, I was in the Salvation Army 2 years ago, literally sitting on the steps, near enough crying my eyes out, because I was literally that low. And basically just turned around and said to me, "You okay?" Not really. Told him about a few problems and that I had coming up here. I was offered work, and that didn't happen, so I was originally homeless.
I know Kevin through the Salvation Army. I was living in the Salvation Army through problems in my life and all that, and Kevin used to come on a Sunday with their nieces group with sandwiches and that, so I used to go out and get my sandwiches and talk to him. And ever since then, I've classed him as my spiritual mentor.
Kervin, yeah, I'd say 3 words to describe Kervin. He's thoughtful, caring, and he's for the community. He's a good person in general, like, you know.
And he's just been an inspiration, he really has.
I once had it said to me that if you can do what you've done and get to where you've got to, then there's hope for me. And if I cry, I cry. Films right now, I'm not really bothered. I'm a humble man, but I get touched by things like that.
What an amazing achievement, Kervin. I know a lot of people perhaps, would find it hard to believe the transformation from A to B. Tell us a bit more about how you feel right now and about the people that you work with and help.
Right now, the first word is overwhelmed. Absolutely overwhelmed. There's been over 30 people nominated today, and every single one of them would have had a right to have been stood up here where I'm stood today. They've all sacrificed their time to give to others and put other people in front of themselves. I'm quite fortunate that I've got an absolutely amazing team of people sitting across the back here. And before I go any further, I'd really like to say thank you to all of you for being who you are and allowing me to do what I do. And that goes from my pastor, Patch, and all those at North Point Church, Steve and Matthew, and all the Onesimus team, Lauren and Lydia and Hannah and Lisa and Charlotte. I could name you all, Stuart, and there was an amazing team of people. My manager at Salvation Army and my deputy, I could name you all. Jackie from Sainsbury's. I could do a Barry McGuigan speech here, but really, the feeling at the minute is overwhelmed, and I feel so humble being in front of you all right now receiving this. But this is not for me. This is for the hundreds and thousands of people across our nation who don't have any hope. This is an answer to that prayer that there is hope, that there is a way out. Better can come if only you just reach out and grab it. And I just thank every single one of you for just profiling that.
Kervin, congratulations. Isn't it obvious, watching this man getting the applause and the hugs, that so many people are really grateful for the work you do?
Thank you very much. That's all I can say, really. I'm lost for words, and my pastor's wife will not agree with you. Pat will not believe that I'm lost for words, but I'm absolutely gobsmacked right now. And if there's anything that I can say, it's a big thank you to my wife. My wife found me. My wife came to work. Do you mind me sharing this a minute? I've got to share this a minute. Okay. I arrived in Coventry in 2005 with nothing but the clothes on my back. And I came to Coventry to go into a rehab because I'd been an addict for 36 years. And while I was there was a lot of people who were encouraging me, but my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, she actually came to work in the rehab as a volunteer to just support and encourage men like me. And many of you might not have come to faith in your time, but I learned to find out who God was through the relationship that I had with my now wife. And if there was anybody that I really give thanks to for where